Sup guys, Heeking here, bringing you some new info / rumors / supposed leaks for Resident Evil 9. Remember guys to always take these with a grain of salt. These are not confirmed. And obviously don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, let's get into these leaks, shall we? So yeah, the leaker, if you can call him that, LutuxFix has done a third post now, Resident Evil 9 Leaks Part 3. And yeah, this has been getting a bit of traction because a lot of the recent rumors and leaks coming out are pretty much using some of his info essentially. But yeah, he's gone back to this, he's done a new post and he's gonna be talking about this. So yeah, let's start then. In the last few weeks, I've received several messages from you asking me about my second playtest. A lot of it because I didn't give many details about it and because there are apparently many people using the build I played and linking it to rumors that I can't confirm, like Leon's playtest for example. Again, nothing points to Leon in this game, but I can't rule it out at this moment because I only tested it with Jill. Kitty wants to go out. Go on. Go on. Sorry about that interruption. So yeah, I thought a lot about whether I was going to share more details about the game or not. But I think that with so many things coming out and many of them extremely doubtful, but with so many people trusting me, and I'm grateful for that, I'm going to share some details about the second playtest. I hope it helps you. Okay, so he's still adamant that Leon, at least what he played, Leon wasn't mentioned. Okay, so I'm going with the theory here that, and this is just a theory by the way, I'm going with the theory here that there's a big strong possibility that Capcom is actually working on 2 RE games and they're deciding whether which one of these is gonna become RE9. That's what I'm thinking is happening. Like, that's my theory at the moment. That, or they got 2 different developers, or teams, technically teams, where one working on Jill's campaign and one working on Leon's, and then they're going to combine it with the final build. But yeah, let's go on and see what he has to say with the next parts. Many ask me about the zombies. They're not that different from the zombies in RE2 Remake. In fact, they're obviously more detailed and the rot on their bodies is more evident. They also have grey bodies. Many of them have scientist clothes like lab coats or protective masks. They don't use weapons, at least not in the hospital. Regarding the build's polishing, many people have asked me if it looked like an early version, and I can say no, definitely not. Even though there are obvious bugs, the game was in an advanced stage of development. It doesn't take a genius to see that, especially considering they're supposed to release the product in 2025. Okay. Many people ask me if I faced the Goatman. I definitely tried, but I couldn't defend myself from him. The creature is aggressive and walks freely around the hospital, and when I refer to a goat, I don't mean that it's literally a folklore creature. He reminds me of a goat because he has hoofs and walks similar to folklore goatmen. His horns also refer to that. I don't know what kind of biological weapon this is, but it definitely reminds me a lot of a tyrant in his behavior. What I mean is that Goatman is the name we gave him because he looks like that. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Moving on. I also got questions about the game's story. I definitely don't know. Playtests are usually vague about it, but I'll drop some information and you can add your own sweetener if you want. Okay. This is the part I think that's most important. One of the few build documents mentioned a multi-million-dollar company conducting experiments all over Europe. Okay. One of the questions in the post-test questionnaire that we answered mentioned something like, did you catch the Revelations 2 reference in room P3? Room P3 is one of the doors that I couldn't open during the test. I can find out what reference was by talking to friends who might have opened it if you want. And something curious that I avoided mentioning as much as possible in previous posts is about some experts of conversation between Joe and Chris on the radio in the demo. Could that be a spoiler? Definitely read this part of the thread at your leisure. They mentioned that the BSAA is testing the apocalypse virus on humans, and Chris tells Jill to be careful because the hospital is a disguised BSAA base. She says something like, got it, and hangs up. I suppose this is the only really relevant story detail. Apparently this virus is new, or it could be something created based on another one. Either way, we'll only find out in the game. And one of the few files I mentioned in previous posts seems to be a report from a scientist who says that the apocalypse virus got out of control in the hospital. Okay. So he's saying this takes place in a hospital, that it's a disguised BSA base, and that the BSA was experimenting with bioweapons. This kind of leads into how we ended a Resident Evil Village, basically, with Chris going after the BSA because they were using bioweapons. Now, in this case, this sort of fits with how we ended, 8, in terms of the fact that it seems the BSA is still continuing these experiments, and they've located one of their bases, which is doing these experiments. And obviously, the same leaker here, LutuxFix, has said that the title of this game is Resident Evil Apocalypse. And now it seems we know why it's going to be a cold apocalypse, because the main virus of the game is called Apocalypse. So the Apocalypse virus, okay. It seems to just create zombies. Maybe there's more to it, but so far it doesn't seem that different or interesting at the moment. So the biggest thing here is the fact that he's saying that there's a reference to Revelations 2, but he didn't understand or get what that reference was, because apparently there's a locked door he couldn't open. Now he's going to go and ask some of his friends who tested the game as well. Maybe they'll give him an answer. But a Revelations 2 reference, what does that mean then? Is this going to connect to Revelations 2? Is Alex Wesker, aka Natalia Corden, coming back? Is she going to be in this game? Because that would be pretty sweet if this game continues that. I'm trying to think really hard about this as well, in terms of because here's the thing to keep in mind, right? Resident Evil 5 it had 2 directors, and one of those directors went on to direct Resident Evil Revelations 2. And that one was pretty much, like a full-on epilogue or sequel to Resident Evil 5. That same director would go on to direct Resident Evil 4 Remake, right? Now, with Resident Evil, I'm just trying to say, sometimes you do get these people who do continue certain story elements that were maybe teased in the previous game, and then they're full on there, With Resident Evil 9, we apparently know that it's going to be the guy who did Revelations 1 and Resident Evil 7. And, you look at Revelations 1 to Resident Evil 7, and you can sort of feel maybe the gameplay aspect of it playing a role in there, maybe the enemy variety, sort of. But in terms of story, it was completely new and different. But because Resident Evil 7 started off this plot line with the connections and Evie, it would kind of make sense for the original director for that to come back and wrap that story up with Resident Evil 9. Because we know that when you finish the game, you get these little newspaper clippings or files during the credits, and if you're able to get able to get those files, or zooming in and read them, they do mention about how the Evelyn that in RE7 was sort of the prototype, or one of the first ones that they released, and they were going to mass produce these things and that. So they clearly had a base somewhere where they were going to continue with their experiments of Evelyn. And a lot of the rumors for 9 have said, it's about shutting down the people responsible for creating Evelyn in the first place, because they're mass producing them. So that already ties in with something that was set up at the very end of RE7. So But yeah, I'm very curious what this Revelations 2 reference is. Is this a hint perhaps that we're going to get some big connections? You also have to keep in mind that Barry is rumored to be in this game. A lot of rumors are saying he's in there as a contact. So in this case, Chris seems to be Joe's contact. So nothing about Barry mentioned here. But moving on, Hunters. You asked me a lot about them in private messages. They definitely remind me of the ones from Resident Evil 3 Remake, but they can get stuck in walls. Not like lickers, but they stick their claws in the concrete and can attack from above. Personally, I found them a very difficult enemy to face. You need balance. Okay, so the Hunters are annoying in this game. Yeah, I kind of feel like they were sort of annoying in the 3rd remake as well. You needed really good, a lot of ammo to take them out. About the combat, as I said, it's somewhere between RE2 and RE4. I'm assuming he's referring to the remakes. But Jill doesn't kick. The gameplay seems more like a survival horror than an action game. So the vibe I'm getting from this, again, if you take the Leon stuff into account, if it is legit or not, is that Jill's one is going to be more horror focused, and Leon's one, I'm going to assuming, is going to be more action focused. Now, I know what some people are going to say. They're going to be like, okay, they're copying RE6. But here's the thing, RE6 had 4 campaigns, and for the most part, all 4 campaigns played similar to each other, okay? That's the biggest problem with those campaigns. Yeah, the characters have their different arsenal and weapons and movesets, but for the most part, the control system was pretty much the same. It's just like, oh, this campaign had zombies, this one had shooting enemies at you, this one was more like a nemesis chasing you, you know, etc., etc. But really, they all just felt like the same kind of gameplay. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they want RE9 to sort of be a good balance of horror and action, it would make sense to have like one campaign be the survival horror campaign that's more inspired by Resident Evil 2 Remake, and then have the other campaign, in this case Leon, if he is in it, be more inspired by Resident Evil 4 Remake. So you get a nice balance of the two. You've got Jill with the horror stuff, and then you've got Leon with the action stuff. And you got to make it feel different. In this case, he's saying Jill doesn't kick, so maybe this is something they haven't added in, or it's a case of Jill's campaign is going to be in that, you know, it's definitely going to play more like an RE2 remake game. You know, flashlight out, pistol there, you know, you're aiming for the heads, etc., etc. You're fighting these zombie-like enemies. I don't remember if he said you can dodge or not. I'm assuming that has to be a feature because Jill could dodge in the remake, in the RE3 remake. So I feel like that's something they should bring back. But with Leon, obviously, the parry system with the knife and that, I feel like that's something that should be kept in. So I hope that makes a comeback, because the parry system, in my opinion, was one of the best things in RE4 remake. So, you know. Anyway, moving on. Guys, I really wasn't going to write more about the game because I suspect the announcement is very close. But it seems like my tests are being mixed with things that I have no idea if they're real, like Leon and Barry Burr. I won't give my opinion on that, but know that the only thing I can confirm are the tests with Jill. Thank you, and I appreciate the trust and affection I've been receiving in the last few weeks. Over and out, and I'll see you in RE9. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. That's the last thing you had to say. Okay, so that's the last part of that. Yeah, not really a lot of details. Like I said, he's very adamant that this is, at least what he played was Jill's stuff. It's very possible that there is indeed playtesters who have actually played a Leon build of the game, and that we are getting two campaigns here. Now, the fact he's saying, you know, he hasn't heard anything about Leon, and he mentions Barry Burton, he didn't hear about Barry Burton, so that makes it seem like it's weird. Because I remember specifically reading, I don't know, I think this was one of the articles posted by Residents of Evil, and they were pretty much saying that, at least the info they got said that, or it might have been another article actually, where they were like, I don't know, there's so many things going on, it's getting hard to pinpoint who said what now at this point. But I specifically remember one saying that Jill was interacting with both Chris and Barry, and that Chris was a guide over the radio while Barry was acting as like the weapons specialist advisor to her. So nothing about Barry being part of the Leon testing or campaign or whatever. So yeah, that makes me a bit curious. Maybe there's a bit of mistranslation, or maybe it's an obvious case of that info is wrong. Like, I would like Barry to be in this game, I do, but he has to play a specific role. So for me, at the moment, I'm like, if he is in this, like, what's his role going to be? Is he going to just be an advisor, or is he going to play a role? And that Revelations 2 reference has got me curious. So I'm hoping he does respond soon and answer what that's about. So yeah. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the gist of it. There's not a whole lot to go on. We do have rumors that this game is going to be revealed very soon, apparently next month. And now a lot of people are saying it's going to be the Game Awards. There's some rumors about some sort of event happening on the 3rd of December, maybe a state of play. Keep in mind that we did get like during the 25th anniversary of PlayStation, we did get like a state of play in December, right? And they revealed RE3 Remake. So maybe history will repeat itself here, and we get a reveal of RE9 next month, right? Because this guy's saying it's coming out for 2025. So if he is legit, that means the game is coming out pretty much next year. That means we have to be getting an announcement soon. And there was a recent report by Capcom about them releasing like a AAA title in the financial, whatever you want to call it, year, which pretty much means that we're getting another game from them next year. It's not just Monster Hunter Wilds. So now a lot of people are jumping on the assumption and conclusion that it has to be RE9, which means that we should be getting a reveal for this pretty much next month, because if it is coming out next year, we need that reveal for next month. It would be surprising if we get a reveal this month, but I don't think that's happening. It's going to be for next month, and everything's pointing it to being at Game Awards. I'm hoping that happens, but at the same time, there is a part of me that's still saying a lot of this info is meh. You know, it's it's blown out of proportion, and that we're not going to get a reveal for RE9 until 2025. In this case, I'm going to say June 2025, for a release in early 2026. So I'm kind of worried that that's what's going to happen here. I hope not, but I don't know at this point. I don't know. Like, I assumed we were going to get a reveal this June, and it didn't happen. So now I'm thinking, okay, we're either going to get a reveal December, like we did with RE3 Remake, or it is going to be a June reveal. But we're for next year. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on all of this. As always, remember to like and subscribe. And yeah, I shall see you when I shall see you. Fingers crossed that next month is it. Yeah. Take care and bye, guys. Take care and bye.